Hi guys, so I just did a reel of 5 budgeting tips that I have that has helped me be a stay-at-home mom. We went from 2 incomes to 1 income with Noah. We went from living paycheck to paycheck with Noah at the time to now buying our second home with 3 kids and living extremely comfortably by using these budgeted tips. One thing that has changed drastically is obviously my husband is a now licensed electrician. At that time, he wasn't licensed, so our income has increased, which praise God. And then the other thing is sticking to these tips. So tip number 1 is pick a method that works for you. So if that's the envelope method, research tons of methods. What works for us is called Ramsey Every Dollar. It's an app I've used for 4 years that I can share with you guys. If you just PM me, I will send you the app that I use. The second method is if you are married. For us, the most important thing was to have a joint bank account. That way it was just easier to look at the finances and pay our bills accordingly. I strictly run our budget. That's just how it has worked for us the last 4 years, and just how it's been able to get us to the place that we are. I am more financially disciplined than my husband, and I contribute that a lot to my upbringing. So having one joint bank account was easiest for us just because it was easier for me to maneuver. Number 2 is budgeting everything. Like, we budget everything. That includes our Starbucks coffee that we get. That includes everything. We budget money monthly for clothes for the kids, etc. So I'm talking about any little thing that you think about that you're spending. Write all those down, plus your bills, and that's what you need to budget. Number 4, when we're talking about savings, the one biggest mistake that I used to make when I first started really getting into this with my family was I wanted to put lots of money into my savings. I wanted to grow this savings quickly, but then we started having to dip into our savings to make our ends meet. Always start small with your savings. That's $20 a week, whatever. Just start very small with your savings, and then you'll be able to grow that as your income grows, as your knowledge of budgeting grows. So that is a huge tip. Always start small with your savings because you do not want to be dipping into it to make your monthly ends meet. And tip number 5. So you're going to write down all of your bills, all of your wants, all of your luxuries. So your Starbucks budget for the month, your hydro bill, your mortgage, etc. And then on the other side, you're going to write down your income. So every dollar that comes into your family, your paychecks, however you get income, you're going to write that. Those 2 things should balance out. If one of those things is lower than the other, so if your income is less than your budget, there's something wrong and that needs to be adjusted accordingly. And if you have extra money in your income after all that stuff is budgeted, think about places you can put that money. May it be your savings, or may you want to put a little bit extra money into the clothing budget, etc. So those 2 categories should and need to be equal. Quickly, my last tip is consistent. Oh, I like the lighting in here. It makes me look good. Consistency and discipline. So there will be growing pains. The pains were harsh on my husband the first year of this. There will be growing pains, but trust me, the pains are worth it, because then we have seen such a positive outcome of where we are now versus where we were just 3 years ago. So accept the growing pains, acknowledge the growing pains, and remain consistent. And obviously, if you're married or you have a spouse or you live with a spouse and you guys do finances together, you both have to be on the same page. So this is a discussion that you need to have together. Write everything out, present it to them in a way that they will understand, because that is important. Being on the same page is extremely important, because you're not going to be able to make this work by yourself unless you are an individual that pays your own bills. But I don't. Just kidding. But yeah, being on the same page is very important.